The taste and consistency of the foods you cook and bake can improve. Your confidence in your ability to prepare a special food can also improve, without taking cooking classes or buying expensive gadgets. A simple way to improve your skills is by measuring your ingredients accurately every time you cook. In order to measure ingredients correctly, you need the right utensils: standard measuring cups and standard measuring spoon sets. These are available in the housewares department of your supermarket or department store and are an excellent investment. The standard measuring cups consist of a dry set: 1 cup, 1/2 cup, 1/3 cup, and 1/4 cup. If you purchase a fancy set, you might get additional sizes like 2/3 cup, 3/4 cup, and 1/8 cup. The liquid set is always made of glass. It includes a 1 cup measure, and for microwave use, a 2 to 4 cup glass measuring container. Standard measuring spoon sets include 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, and 1/4 teaspoon sizes. A fancier set may have more sizes such as 1 1/2 tablespoon, 3/4 tablespoon, 1/8 teaspoon, 3/4 teaspoon. It will also help you to understand the relationship between ounces and cup measurements. Most cookbooks will have a chart with measurements and equivalents on an inside cover or placed in a prominent position in the book. If you have any questions about the amount you are measuring, check the charts. Canned milks are labeled by weight rather than cup measurement, so knowing these equivalents will be very helpful. Always use standard measuring utensils to get the most accurate amounts. Use liquid measuring cups to measure liquids, and dry measuring cups for dry and solid fat materials. Using a coffee mug or a soup spoon from your silverware collection won't give you accurate amounts for your recipe, and won't give you good tasting and good looking results. When you use a standard clear glass measuring cup to measure liquids, set it on a level countertop while you measure. Pour in the liquid to the level you are aiming for, and then check the liquid at eye level in the container. When you try to judge the level from above or below the line, you have a distorted view of the amount of liquid in the container. In some recipes, even the smallest deviation in amount can have a dramatic impact on the result. Syrup and molasses change their consistency depending upon their temperature. For an accurate measurement of these liquids, rinse your measuring cup in cold water before measuring to get the best result. Oils are measured in the same way as other liquids. Once you get the correct amount measured, you may want to use a spatula to get all of the oil out of the measuring cup and into the recipe. Because oils are thicker than other liquids, it's easy to leave some behind on the utensil. It's important to use the right amount of liquids in your recipes so that your food projects don't turn out too dry or too soggy. If you were to inaccurately measure water for a boxed gelatin mix, the end result would be either too runny or hard and rubbery. The preferred method of measuring solid fats is with standard dry measuring utensils and techniques. Pack the shortening or butter down into a dry cup measure and level off the top before using a spatula to get it all out of the cup measure and into the recipe. Another way to measure solid fats is the water displacement method. To use this method, use a liquid measuring cup and fill it with cool water. Pour off the amount of water which you want to measure of solid fat. For example, if you want to measure 1/2 cup of shortening, pour off 1/2 cup of water. Then, spoon the shortening into the measuring water until it raises the water level to the fill line. When you pour off the water, you will have the correct amount of shortening in the measuring cup. Be sure to get all the water out of the cup so that you don't add the water to the recipe accidentally. Calibrated measuring utensils are also necessary for dry ingredients. Here are some tips on how to make certain you get accurate measurements for flours, sugars, and other dry materials. Whenever possible, use the utensil closest in size to the amount you are measuring. That is, If you need 1/2 cup of flour for a recipe, use the 1/2 cup dry measure utensil. First, use a scoop or spoon to put the dry ingredient into the cup measure. Fill the cup so that it is slightly mounded on top. Try not to shake the cup to avoid packing the ingredients. Tap the top of the cup once lightly with a knife to settle any air holes. Use the straight edge of a spatula or knife to level off the top of the cup. Scrape the excess onto a piece of waxed paper and return it to the original container. Don't add any excess to the recipe because it will change and possibly ruin the recipe. If the flour is labeled as no sift or pre-sifted, measure it out of the bag into the recipe. Although you may want to sift anyway because the flour does settle during the packing and shipping. Any other flours should be sifted also before measuring. A sifter is a handy tool to have in your kitchen. But if you don't have one, you can substitute a strainer and wooden spoon. Measuring the flour into the strainer and shaking or pushing the flour through the strainer. Whole grain flours are too coarse to go through a sifter, but you can fluff them up by scooping a few cupfuls and pouring them back into the container. The whole idea of sifting is to counteract the settling which takes place in packaging, shipping, and storing flours over a period of time. It's also important to accurately measure other dry ingredients which are added to flour, such as baking powder, baking soda, salt, and spices. Before adding the dry ingredients in a recipe to wet ingredients, break up any lumps and sift these ingredients throughout the flour mixture, either with a sifter, strainer, or through stirring. Sugar measuring depends upon the kind and the condition of the sugar. White granulated sugar measures like flour without the sifting. Confectioner's or powdered sugar needs to be fluffed up a bit before measuring, using either a strainer or sieve. Don't use your flour sifter for powdered sugar, as it will clog up the screen. Brown sugar, which is moist, must be firmly packed down into the cup measure to get an accurate amount. Dramatic cooking and baking looks like fun to do, but you'll get better tasting and better looking results by making the effort to use the right utensils and measure your liquid and dry ingredients carefully and accurately.